Welcome in, my brother. How are you on a Friday? We made it. We made it. We made it. Welcome back. We missed you last week. How you doing?
Yeah, last week at 2:00 my time, 4:00 your time, I was in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like mountains in Communicado.
That kind of sounds like. But pause. That doesn't work well on radio, and we appreciate you giving us that heads up. Thanks for that, Paul. Let's wrap the week up.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about, well, first off, what were you doing in the mountains? Let's knock that out. Were you at a training seminar? What were you doing? Were you teaching? Give us the professor.
I had to travel throughout Wyoming, so I had to go over the mountain pass. So it was just personal business. It wasn't training business.
I had to travel around Wyoming. That's a beautiful thing. I would love to travel at this time of year around Wyoming. It's a beautiful place.
Oh, this is the best time.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It really is. It's beautiful. All right, let's we're going to kind of go random here, all right? I'm not going to Google gun control. I'm just going to pull a few stories up that matter that I know that you and I can take for the hour, because so much has been happening as of late. And AWR has written a few stories, one of them in particular. And guys, we'll be talking with AWR about some of his work on the weekend show as well. But I want to get the perspective from our other guests. And while I've got the professor here, I want to talk a little bit about two of them in particular. Texas Appeals Court panel upholds gun ban at State Fair. Now, you and I are going to go through this together because I'm literally going through this right now with you. So I want to read just a little bit of this, and let's take it on the fly. This is by design, guys. I love bringing real spontaneity to the show. And I've said this many times over the years. I've actually done this, Paul, as you know, and I think you and I have done it together, where we just decide, let's not really prep. Let's just Google gun control live on the air and see what we get and take it on the fly.
Do you ever prep?
Well, I do, but you're always going to have content if you do that. That's generally a gutsy move as a talk radio host, but I kind of like taking that chance because I know there's always going to be something there.
It's a risk.
It's a risk, but not when it's gun control. No matter what the topic, they're always going to be running their mouths. Now, in this particular case, a 3-judge panel of the 15th Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed a lower court ruling Thursday, thereby upholding the Texas State Fair handgun ban. Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit against the ban in August of 2024. The Texas Tribune noted that in 2025, a Dallas County District Court granted the City of Dallas and the State Fair summary judgment and dismissed the case. The District Court ruling was appealed, and now a 3-judge panel from the 15th Circuit Court of Appeals has upheld it. The 3 judges were unanimous in their decision, according to CBS Austin. Now, I will tell you this with certainty, if that were the 5th Circuit, well, this is Texas. This is Texas. For Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Texas. Let's talk a little bit about this. This is Texas. Why can't we carry a gun in Texas or anywhere in this country at a state fair? What's the difference? What makes the state fair such a sensitive place, Paul? Let's go there.
When you walk through the gate, you go through that chain link fence. I walk across that chain link fence, and now I'm in a special place. Well, let's talk about Texas from a realistic standpoint. Most of the country, especially the Northeast, the East Coast and the Northeast, they think Texas is like this Wild West place where everybody's carrying a gun and then everybody's a George Bush conservative. Blah blah blah. It's like, actually, no, it's not. The truth of the matter is Texas needs a lot more Texas.
Great line.
Austin, Dallas, Houston, those are all hard blue areas run by liberals. In the case of Austin, what you've got is you have all of these left-wing West Coast implants who show up and they're like, oh, we don't like California anymore because it's taxes and regulations and and then they go to Austin and they're like, oh, but we need to vote for Democrats. Like, it's a mental disease. But it's funny that you brought up the Texas State Fair because I just read a story about Ohio where they did the same thing. That they're like, well, they said, but Ohio was weird. They're like, well, you're allowed to carry on the grounds, but not inside any of the buildings. So I've been to the Ohio State Fair a dozen times.
Right.
I used to live there. And yeah, so you can come through the gate and you walk around on the midway and so on and so forth, but you can't go into the buildings. You can't go into the butter barn, you can't go look at the butter sculpture in the 4-H barn or, it's like, come on, folks.
Or the bathrooms. I mean, look.
Yeah, this ridiculous nonsense where we're creating these constitution-free zones. I mean, and that's what it is. You talk to, and what's weird is you've got the executive versus the executive here. You've got the state's executive branch versus the city's or the county's executive branch. I'm sure that the Texas State Fair is not held in, well, maybe it is, inside of the municipal boundaries of Dallas.
Greg, can you help with that?
Or is it in the county?
No, it's in the southern city of Dallas proper. If we're talking about the fairgrounds there.
So they drew a line around it, and it's actually in the city.
Well, it's always existed in the city. It's just right across from downtown. It's on. Let me think about this. It's right at 175 and between 45 175 and off MLK. And the thing is it's my understanding is that the fairgrounds are actually private property that are leased, there's a private entity here that operates the fair every year, and the fairgrounds are actually contained by the city of Dallas, but because it's a private event, that's how they can segregate the possession of firearms on the grounds itself because of it being a private event.
Okay. Paul, I have a lot of experience up in the Minnesota area, and the Minnesota State Fair is one of the largest in the country. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It's a wildly popular fair. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people go to that fair. And the main reason for that, quite frankly, and I was told this by Minnesota residents, is because that's their big shindig at the end of summer before a very, very long and cold winter sets in. So they take their fair seriously up there. None of my permits were reciprocal in Minnesota, but I can tell you that I've carried a firearm at the fairgrounds in Minnesota before. I will tell you that, okay? I haven't been to the Minnesota State Fair in a number of years, and I miss it. And AM 1280 listeners, I used to go up there and broadcast for about 10 years in a row at the AM 1280 booth, and when that booth no longer existed, well, we didn't have a reason to go up anymore. But I could never understand what about a fair. Well, there's lots of people there. There's lots of people in lots of places, Paul. This is just another excuse for Democrats.
City.
Just another excuse for Democrats.
Walmart. Yeah. And you know who's squirming in their seats right now? I can hear them. They're squirming and they're wiggling and they're having a little tremor.
Oh, tell me.
Iowa people. Iowa people.
Okay, tell me why.
30
seconds.
Because the Iowa State Fair, according to Iowa, the Iowa State Fair is the biggest state fair in the country.
20.
So Iowa people are like, hey, you better recognize.
Yeah, well, big fair coming. Big fair coming. Got a big fair coming. Very dangerous place. Paul, we're going to be back with Paul Markel when we come back from the break. Guys, we'll see you on the flip side. Don't go away. Friend.
You know that they make melatonin gummies.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Those little magnesium things, magnesium, not magnesium. What am I thinking? What magnesium? What? It starts with an M. What is it? It's a Friday. I don't know. Who cares? Whatever. But they sleep. They help me sleep, and I generally don't sleep. And I needed a really good night's sleep last night. I ate one about 9 o'clock. I was out. I slept till 6 o'clock. It was wonderful.
I thought they decriminalized marijuana in Texas.
Well, they did. No. The hemp bill. No, in fact, Texas is doubling down on that.
Yeah,
by the way,
they want to lock Texans up for a long time just for having any kind of an edible product or having a vape or a tincture or any Delta 8, Delta 9 stuff, and I mean even still over flower too. So this state is really
a T-shirt.
This state's really ass backwards when it comes to some stuff.
Yeah, well, the hemp bill, the farm bill, that passed allowed, that hemp-derived THC stuff, which is popular around the country. That's legal in all 50 states. But no, it wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those. But, Cheech and Chong are selling that stuff. Cheech and Chong, they're still around, Whatever floats your boat, man. I don't, the question is, should that ban you from owning firearms? No. Now we know that it should not.
Yeah, that's, I don't know when we're going to go ahead, and I know we didn't mean to go this direction.
Well, that's okay. That's what's fun on a Friday. Let's go there. Why not?
The fact of the matter is the Trump haters on the left never, they just pretended like the reclassification when they changed it from a class, was a type 1 or class 1 down to
class 1, yeah.
Basically, under federal statute, marijuana is now like
class 3.
Class 3
Class 3. So it's like a prescription drug. It's like prescription nose medicine or whatever. And the left just pretended like that didn't happen. It was like,
well, there's an interesting twist to this conversation. We've touched on it on this program before. Now, if you look at let's go back to the Biden era. You would think the Democrat Party would be the party that would want to legalize weed. I mean, if you look at what they've done.
Oh, they historically are.
Right. If you look at what they've done in Oregon, legalizing everything, heroin, everything. Okay, that didn't go over well to the point that I believe they changed a lot of that. Washington and the other liberal states want to do that state by state. And you got to wonder why why wouldn't the Democrats at the federal level want to move on legalization of marijuana, decriminalization at a federal level? Because it banned people from owning firearms that smoked weed, which was millions, in their estimation, fewer gun owners as a result. That's why they didn't touch it. Normally, if guns weren't part of the issue, I believe it would have been legalized a long time ago. Now that it's been found by the Supreme Court itself, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that going down the road, because the feds are not pressuring the states that have gone ahead independently and technically, let's just call it what it is, violated federal law and ignored federal law. The feds are just choosing not to prosecute. Now, here's one thing I can say for certain, Paul, and I know you get this, but whatever the federal government giveth, the federal government can taketh away. So unless there's some answer here, now they're fighting that hemp bill right now because, of all people, Mitch McConnell threw that little monkey wrench in that took the hemp portion that legalized hemp out of the one big beautiful bill and recriminalized it. So now there's an effort coming November 1 because of Mitch McConnell, ladies and gentlemen. You will not be able to buy, if this goes through, any of those legal hemp products anymore. And you can thank Mitch McConnell for that. Millions of Americans have used those products.
Isn't he dead?
Well, we don't know where he is. He's back now. But there's now a movement to fix that and regulate the hemp bill with help from the hemp industry, who themselves admit, yes, there should be some regulation. We want to work with you on that. But it's a very interesting topic to me. Clearly, when the Democrats were controlling the White House, obviously we know why they didn't want to legalize it, because, that means, okay, well, it's legal. We can't really keep people from buying guns. There was that. But the Supreme Court has made that clear. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. At some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, who knows in a future administration what the federal government will do here? We don't know. That's why it has to be fixed now, Paul.
Oh, well, the whole purpose of the Supreme Court, or one of the stated intended purposes that's in that old document that they wrote back in 1791, was that the Supreme Court is supposed to be the arbiter in cases where states either disagree with each other or states disagree with the federal government, so that we don't have mixed signals and mixed messages. And brother, let's face facts. That is exactly what we have. And the Supreme Court needs to get off their duffs and start taking cases where there is, so you say, well, in this state, I'm perfectly legal to buy marijuana and to do this, blah, blah, blah. But in this state, I can't, and so on and so forth.
Yet it remains illegal in federal law, that's the interesting disconnect.
That's the thing. So so the state of New Mexico says, you're cool, don't worry about it. But the federal government says, no, you're not. That's illegal, and we can arrest you and put you in jail for that. And you're like, that's a contradiction. And that's exactly why the Supreme Court exists, to take care and clean up that kind of garbage. And when they ignore it or choose not to, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You know, when 25, I don't know how many it is now, 25 out of the 50 are legal, marijuana legal.
Yeah. 30.
And then, but the feds are still like, no, it's a controlled substance, and you can't just own it. You can't just buy it. You can't just walk into a store,
right?
You know, burp, burp.
20.
So,
Paul, hold that thought.
Now,
hold that thought. We've only got
ahead.
Michigan, and my thoughts on the whole weed thing, because I do have thoughts on the weed thing, and they've morphed over the years. Paul, go ahead.
No, I think that, you know, that's actually the perfect case or the perfect reason. You say, well, why does the Supreme Court exist for something exactly like that? You know, or, well, you know, Second Amendment, the Second Amendment says, but New Jersey says, and New York says, and it's a lack of continuity, and it's not supposed to go on in a representative republic.
Right.
We're not supposed to have cities, counties, states, municipalities just decide on their own that, well, I know we did that whole Constitution, Bill of Rights thing. Yeah, that's nice. But we don't approve of that. And so in our city, in our state, you can't do that. Like, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. And that is why we have a Supreme Court. And the fact that they kind of dance around these issues, it's pretty obvious. You know, I mean, look at places like Illinois that requires you to get a state permit to buy a gun and ammunition. Explain to me how shall not be infringed says, well, unless your state decides that you have to go to them hat in hand and ask for a special permission slip, and then you're allowed to.
Well,
What?
that's the never-ending discussion here. It's why we always have a job. You know, as long as there's Democrats, we're going to be able to talk about these issues. And guys, it's going to get even more fun after June 27th of next year. In less than 12 months from now, when the Supreme Court issues its ruling on the two hardware cases, the Cook County, Illinois case and the Connecticut Citizens Defense League cases, when it comes to quote-unquote assault weapons. That's going to get really interesting because the other side is already beginning to show us what they're planning to do. We're seeing that develop now in New York and other states. So it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, you know, Paul, going back to the weed thing here, when I was a little kid, I used to live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, well, from the time I was 9 until I was 15 years old, and that's going back into the 70s. And every April 1st, those of you that are listening in Michigan will know exactly what I'm talking about, and many of you around the country may know. Some of you aged out hippies or Michigan, University of Michigan alumni will know that every April 1st, they famously had, and still do to my understanding, the hash bash on the Diag at the University of Michigan campus. The Diag being the huge common ground in between all the buildings, the big open area. They call it the Diag in Michigan at UM. And every April 1st was the hash bash. And I remember when I was a kid, the front page of the Ann Arbor newspaper had a photograph of license plates from all 48 states, from people that traveled all over the country to visit the hash bash. And weed had been criminalized in Ann Arbor, Michigan ever since I was a kid. I remember that. It was a $5 fine if you had anything over an ounce. People were openly smoking weed in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and probably still do. I haven't been there in many years, but I have a lot of friends that still live there, and I understand the hash bash is still a deal. Probably not what it was in the 70s back in those days. But, Paul, I mean, it's been going on for quite some time. Now, here's my you want to smoke weed, smoke weed. You should not be banned from owning a firearm because you smoke weed. I've always felt that. A lot of people didn't think I felt that way because we had a responsibility to tell you that that's what the Form 4473 says. Don't shoot the messenger. The 4473, Paul, said, and is being changed. It's in public comment now. But if you smoke weed, and you answer yes, you cannot buy this gun. You're committing perjury. That's just what the federal law was up until Hamani, and we're going to see how this plays out. This is very recent stuff, but I'm taking this back all the way to the 70s, Paul. That's why I want to bring this up. This has been an issue because I guarantee you lots of weed smokers buy guns and filled out that 4473, Paul. That's always been a problem to me. But don't shoot the messenger for telling you that that's federal law, because that's what we had to tell you that. I'll let you take it from there.
No, we could. It's just like addressing the, how did we get the NFA? How did that come about? That didn't come about in a vacuum. It didn't just happen. Like, they just have one day, like, oh, by the way,
Dillinger
got this new law, and here we go. Like, no. Hemp was always legal in the United States of America until Johnny DuPont decided to come up with polyester. And hemp was the number one competitor to polyester. And so, the DuPonts had a crap ton of money, and so they bought a bunch of politicians, and they bought and let's not forget,
can't buy politicians in America, Paul. Come on, let's get real.
The king of yellow journalism. Come on, give me the name. The king of yellow journalism.
There's so many of them out there. Where do you want me to start?
No. The OG, the original newspaper man.
Okay, I'm drawing a blank. I'm not sure.
Greg knows. Come on, Greg. Tell me. I'm blanking out.
Yeah, I'm having the same, because this has to do with the 1937 ban that originally was in conjunction with Atzinger in the FBI, and that later split off to have the DEA. But this was give me a second to think about it, because he owned all the
newspapers.
Yeah,
he was the son of the gold prospector.
Okay, now I know who you're talking about, and I'm drawing a blank.
Come on, brain.
Okay,
William Randolph Hearst.
William Randolph Hearst.
Hearst.
Thank you, Greg.
Hearst, that son of a gun.
Yes.
And
that
thank
yellow
you, Paul.
Journalism son of a gun.
The mind.
So the DuPonts, along with with the politicians that they purchased, they also purchased Hearst, and they started all of a sudden overnight. All the newspapers are running these articles about the demon weed and so forth, and like it was within a period of 10 years in the United States. We went from we've always had hemp and it's not a big deal and it's part of our history, and then within 10 years we're like, oh, it's the worst thing possible. It's the devil's lettuce. That was an OG psyop to convince Americans to let the federal government make hemp illegal.
It's just more it's just more control. I have a question for you. We're getting ready to take a break. It's money. When we come back, whatever happened to Patty Hearst? When we come back with Paul Markel, student of the gun. One more segment to knock out your Friday and start your weekend. Back after discounts. All right, Paul Markel, student of the gun. Welcome back in, my brother. We've only got one more segment left. Funny how that works. What happened to Patricia Hearst?
She bought Roland Thompson gun.
She what?
Patty Hearst heard the burst of Roland Thompson gun and bought it.
I didn't know where
Warren
she was.
Zevon, brother. That's Warren Zevon. You need to catch up, man.
I do need to catch up.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to catch up right now. Let me have a little glass of, I'm going to have a sip of apple juice. Hold on.
All right.
There we go. Mott's apple juice.
A few weeks ago, you said, oh, send me one of them books.
I got it 4 days ago. 4 days ago.
All right. So you have it.
I do.
How much of it have you read?
None, but that's on my weekend list, and here's why. My wife and kids are leaving me alone on Saturday through Wednesday to go to the beach. I have to work because I don't like being away from this microphone, and I'm staying with little Huey, and I'm going to spend the time and read that book. And I got to tell you, I'm disappointed it wasn't signed.
All right.
There's no auto pen coming from Amazon shipment, so I get it. But I do have it. I got it just 4 days ago.
There's, it came directly. It was printed and shipped directly to you.
It smells great. I love the printing material.
Yeah,
it does. It smells like a fresh new book, But
so Patty Hearst, And brother, you're talking Swahili to everyone under 40.
I know it. I couldn't believe I even knew once we heard his
what
name.
You're talking about.
Yeah, you remember?
Like,
Wasn't she kidnapped by the what? You know, I mean, that's going way back.
The Symbionese Liberation Army.
Symbionese Liberation, SLA.
Yep.
Yeah.
SLA. It's SLA.
And she got the whole the Stockholm Syndrome thing, man. And,
isn't there a female pilot missing somewhere out there, too, that we can remember, right? Going back into the 30s? We can't find her. We think she's on an island named Nikamaruru or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, all right, who knows? But hey, too bad Andy Hoosier wasn't with us today because the Pentagon just dropped another bunch of UFO stuff,
They did.
So. Andy's been texting us.
Yeah, we don't care. Put Fauci in jail.
Yeah, and
put Fauci in jail. I don't care about aliens.
Well, you got to hand it
UFOs.
Hand it to Utmeyer in Florida. They've subpoenaed him in Florida. Florida's going after him on state charges. It looks like right now, and a couple others are looking at that as well.
I think Texas might also.
Texas is probably.
He can't leave the country. Yeah. You know there are. I'm pretty sure it was Belgium.
Well, we should be getting his wife as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she was head of NIH.
Oh, absolutely. That talk about corruption. If you don't hate the government at this point in time, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where are you? It's like, going back, and this ties the NFA. That was a psyop. The American people were convinced that it was okay to surrender the Second Amendment for safety. Hearst and his newspapers ran daily, nonstop, St. Valentine's Day Massacre,
yep, that's right. Very
and
true.
John Dillinger, and all of that to terrify Americans so that when the government overreached and stepped over the line, then most Americans say, well, I mean, for safety. They did the exact same thing with hemp so that DuPont could cash in and crush the hemp industry so they could sell polyester.
Now watch this, Paul. Watch this. Greg, jump in and tell us why Texas has the issue they have with weed right now that the rest of the country apparently does not. Go for it. Tell us why.
That is because our lieutenant governor is refusing to allow a public vote on it, and I more than likely am firm in my belief that he's bought by big alcohol.
It's big booze.
Yep, because alcohol sales have been dropping dramatically, and in this state, that's a big thing. And so our current Republican Congress will not put it to a vote to the citizens, and they would much rather just everybody go to jail because alcohol says so.
They're going to put you in jail for having stuff that's legal around the rest of the country. And again...
Oh, I know. When you cross over from New Mexico into Texas, way up there, is that 40?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the billboards, like every town you go through.
There's a weed lawyer.
You then stopped. There's a weed lawyer billboard in every one of those little tiny towns.
It's because they're getting popped left and right. And it's, again, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow it. It's always the money. It always comes
the money and the power.
That's it.
Money is power. Power is money.
Government don't like to give up that power, do they? They never do, and they never will.
No.
That's why if you live in a blue state, you know these things because your guns represent power to you that the state doesn't possess. They don't like that. Guys, check out my latest YouTube short that's out today. I would appreciate it. You can find it on Armed American Radio on Facebook, and it's up on Armed American Radio YouTube. You'll get a kick out of it. I sat out in the studio today, and I put a quick short up of myself just pondering and thinking at the microphone, and the text overlay gives it all away. Make sure to check that out. Why didn't I think of this sooner? I think you'll enjoy the video. Make sure to subscribe to us there at YouTube. We would appreciate it. Paul, where can people find you real quick?
60.
We are both remiss because not everybody's watching the video. We just assume everyone is. The book is Super Lab. It's called Super Lab, Application of the Scientific Method to Firearms Training. And it's available as a paperback, a Kindle, an audiobook and a hardcover on Amazon.
And I have my paperback book, and it smells really good, and I'm going to dig into it this weekend, and we'll be talking about it with Paul next week. Paul Markel, Student of the Gun. We love you. It's SOTGU.com, SOTGU.com. Paul, thank you for being here, brother. I'm sure we'll talk over the weekend. We'll see you again on the radio next Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend coming up, another great Monster Cast lining up for you. It always is. We've got a lot of ground to cover for you, not enough time to tell you about it right here. Just be there on the Monster Cast and stay safe this weekend. It's a Friday. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the radio. Thanks for being here.